When it comes to selecting your next set of irons, you're likely better seeing what can be learned from the choices of the top 100 LPGA Tour players rather than their male colleagues on the PGA Tour. And as a result, Golfing Focus undertook an in-depth study to uncover what irons the best women pros are using, and in this video run through a complete guide to the most popular irons among the top 100 LPGA Tour pros, discover whether women pros prefer blades or cavity back irons, before taking a look at how many of them use graphite or steel, or regular or stiff iron shafts. Welcome back to the Golfing Focus channel, everybody, and when it comes to the irons used in the LPGA Tour, our detailed analysis found Ping's i210 irons are the most popular irons among the top 100 LPGA players. 10 pros use them, including Leona Maguire and Lynn Grant. 7 players, including Alison Corpus, use Ping's i230 irons, which are the second most used irons among this elite group, alongside Titleist T100 irons, the choice of Danielle Kang. Callaway's Apex Pro 2021 irons are the next most used by 6 pros, with Alison Lee and Georgia Hall being 2 of the pros playing them. Srixon's and TaylorMade's most popular irons, played by 5 players each, are their ZX Mark II and P7MC models, respectively. Our detailed research also uncovered a few additional interesting niche iron selections. Lexi Thompson, for example, remains the only player we found to use Cobra irons. Her S2 Forge set was released all the way back in 2009, as she continues her long-term affiliation with that manufacturer. Two-time major champion and former world number 1 Lydia Ko, meanwhile, has opted to play a 5-iron to 9-iron set of Proto Concept irons since 2022, alongside her Titleist T200 4-iron. And what about the irons played by the world number 1 and undoubted current star of LPGA golf, Nelly Korda? She is one of only 7% of the top 100 LPGA Tour pros who chooses TaylorMade irons, with her use of a P770 5-iron alongside P7MC 6-iron to pitching wedge. Comparing iron sets between different players is not as easy as it used to be. Not that long ago, the top players in both the women's and men's game would be choosing a 3-iron to pitching wedge, with the occasional player adding a 1-iron or 2-iron into the mix. With the development of iron tech and the advent of driving stroke utility irons, and especially hybrids, however, there is no such thing as a standard set of irons today, as different LPGA players now choose to start their iron set with either a 5-iron, 6-iron, or even a 7-iron in the case of Azahara Munoz. And that is before we even consider the quarter out of the top 100 LPGA pros, including Lilia Vu and Lydia Ko, who use 2 different types of models of irons in their set of clubs. In spite of these trends, however, and the sometimes patchy data which is available for LPGA pros, the Golfing Focus research team managed to pull together an in-depth analysis of the irons used by the top 100 pros. To further discover that of the 51 different iron models used by the top 100, Callaway are the most popular brand of irons in the LPGA Tour, with 23% using them. Ping is the next most used brand, chosen by 19%, with Titleist the third most common brand of irons. Moving next on to the question of whether any LPGA players use blades, Golfing Focus's extensive look at the iron setups of the top 100 found that in total only 3 of the top 100 use a full set of blades, while another 2 pros place some blade irons as part of a mixed iron set. Charlie Hull uses a 4-iron to pitching wedge set of TaylorMade's P7MB blade irons, while Megan Kang and Ryan O'Toole both use a set of PXG's 0211 ST blade irons. Jeanette Wanahansen and Minami Katsu, meanwhile, play 14 Golf's TB7 forged and Srixon's Zedge forged 2 blade irons respectively, from 6-iron to pitching wedge, alongside their cavity back longer irons. The remainder of the top 100 use only cavity backs. And even accounting for those minority of LPGA pros we could not find any iron data on, the debate over cavity backs versus blades in the LPGA Tour appears to be clearly settled. When we last did a similar rigorous look at the iron setups of the top players in the PGA Tour, we also found an increasing trend in that elite group of a preference for cavity back over blade irons, to the extent that blade iron players are now very much in the minority at the top of the men's game also. Turning our attention then to the iron setups of the top 100 pros in the LPGA Tour, after discounting driver stroke utility irons for the comparison, we noted that the dominant iron setup choice is 5-iron to pitching wedge. 41% of the top 100 LPGA players for which iron data was available chose that setup. 24% then prefer to start their iron set with a 4-iron and carry irons all the way through to a pitching wedge, with the other iron setups options proving to be much less popular. When we then look at the iron shafts the best women pros choose, they are clearly different to the shafts used by the top men pros in the PGA Tour. And the most obvious difference is evident when it comes to whether LPGA players use graphite iron shafts or not. Because when it comes to the material of iron shafts used by the best women pros, it is clear they are much more willing to use graphite irons. 35 out of the top 100 pros use graphite iron shafts according to the data available, while 57 play steel iron shafts. True Temper's Aerotech steel fibre shafts are the most used graphite iron shafts among the top 100 in the LPGA Tour, with 12 pros choosing them, including Nelly Korda and Minjae Lee. The Aerotech steel fibre I-80S model is the most used individual graphite shaft, alongside KBS's TGI Tour Graphite Iron 80S shaft, with 3 players each playing them. Nippon's NS Pro 950 GH-S model, meanwhile, is the most popular steel iron shaft, with 5 pros using it, including Danielle Kang. When it comes to flex of shafts, many amateurs are also frequently most concerned with whether LPGA players use regular or stiff iron shafts. And in this regard, our thorough analysis again found a contrast with the PGA Tour, and indeed also with the iron shafts used by the best Champions Tour pros. While the top men in both the PGA and Champions Tour demonstrate a clear preference for extra stiff shafts in their irons, the best women pros as a general rule prefer a softer flex iron shaft compared to their male colleagues, partly as a result of their slower swing speeds. While again the data set on iron shafts is patchy for the LPGA Tour, we uncovered 14 of the top 100 pros using either a regular or regular plus flex iron shaft, including Rose Zhang and Lexi Thompson. The majority, 32 of the 50 LPGA pros we found iron flex shaft data on, did choose stiff shafts. But when compared to the senior and main PGA Tour, where extra stiff shafts are the most dominant iron shaft flex, and only Jim Furyk uses a regular flex iron shaft in either the Champions or PGA Tour, according to the data available. Shaft flex choices appear to be a clear point of distinction between the elite men's and women's game. As a whole, Nippon, True Temper and KBS iron shafts dominate the brand of iron shafts used by the best LPGA pros, with close to 90% of the 66 pros in which data was available choosing one of those 3 shaft brands. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please do hit that like button and click on one of those boxes on the screen to join us in another video. And as ever, and most importantly, we hope you're enjoying your golf.